Okay.
Hello, my name is Clay Mitchell. I'm the assistant principal here at C.E. Hanna School that houses the 5th and 6th grade students for the Oxford City School System. Going to be talking today with Miss Lori Woodrow, who is our reading intervention specialist here at our school. She handles all the ins and outs that have to do with our reading intervention program. So I'm going to talk to her today about some of the things that she does and the different roles that she plays in incorporating a reading intervention into our curriculum here at C.E. Hanna. First of all, Ms. Woodrow, thank you for taking time to talk with us. Appreciate your time. Just going to ask you a couple of questions, and some of these questions I'm going to word them in a way to kind of fit more along the lines of what you do and what we do. I work in coordination with Ms. Woodrow, so I kind of know some of the things that she does, but not all of those. So, start off by asking you this. This first question actually says, how do you assess and revise a systematically integrated curriculum horizontally and vertically? It engages all students. So kind of changing that into kind of along the lines of what you do. Talk to me a little bit about, or talk to us a little bit about, how do you go about, what kind of information do you look at when you're deciding with students where their area of need is in reading, and what kind of reading intervention program of the different ones that we have, kind of how do you go about deciding what program is going to best fit what that student needs?
Okay, well first we look at the programs that we have. We have some that are back in decoding, we have some that are geared toward comprehension with a little bit of fluency, and then we have some that are more enriched, moving them toward a higher level of comprehension. And so we take their test, their Aspire from the previous year. We take that, we take their STAR results, we take their RCBM benchmark, we look at previous reading scores, and then we determine where their area of focus needs to be.
Okay.
If they're more on the decoding level, like through iReady, they have a phonics level, we look at their levels. We place them based on decoding and what's going to further them into reading bigger words that's going to get them fluent enough to be able to comprehend. And then if we see that they are more weaknesses in comprehension, we look at the STAR results to see where their level is on that, and then we place them in the best comprehension area.
Okay. So you start with the previous spring's testing, you look at that, you look at current, so you're trying, I guess what I'm assuming what you probably do is you try to get a little bit of a historical view on the student to see if there's a pattern, such as if they've had an ongoing problem with comprehension, or is it new, or if there's been an ongoing throughout maybe even a couple years, if there's been an ongoing problem with fluency.
Yes.
And that gives you a better picture, I guess.
Yeah, and we look at where their past interventions have been. What they had previously? Did it work? Did it not work? Do we need to continue on that path, or do we feel like they need to be pushed more into a different type of?
Okay. And I'm going to come back in just a minute. I just thought of something I'd like to ask you about looking at a student and their progress. So I'll come back to that in just a minute. Okay. Question number 2. Well, this one asks about how you assure that the objectives and curricular goals are aligned. And I know that's kind of set up on our state standards, and I know the programs that we use here are research-based programs that are going to be lined up with national standards, which correlates down to our state standards. Talk to me a little bit. I'm going to go back to the previous question for a little bit. How often in general, I know it differs depending on their level and what their area of need is. In general, how often do you have a team? Is it mostly you? Do you look at a student's data to see if, you mentioned the intervention program that the student's in, is this the right one? Are they making progress? Are they not making progress? Does it look like that we've kind of quote unquote fixed what their problem is to see if they have a different area of need? How often in general, and how do you go about looking at a student's data, because I know that you do along the way, to see if the intervention program that student is in is meeting the needs or has met the need of what that student is showing that they need?
If they're in a decoding program, we pretty much look weekly to see, is this helping, is it not helping, what do we need to add to it, what do we need to take away. those are the teachers that teach the decoding groups. We meet frequently to just discuss to see if those kids are placed properly. For the Flex, which is our big comprehension research-based program, it's got some fluency built in, but they have a learning path that they are put on digitally, and we can pull up every day how well they're doing or not doing. And then we conference with the kids. We ask them, you know, why do you think you were weak in this area? What can you do to fix that for the next time? What can we do to help? And then as teachers, we come together, I would say, you know, maybe once a month or any time that, you know, a little alert goes off that we might need to discuss.
Okay, so those decisions are made primarily between you and the teacher that's teaching that intervention program. Okay. All right. Next question. This talks about motivating the faculty to adhere to the, I guess, the fidelity of the program. I know a lot of, not all of, but I know a lot of our programs are scripted. Do you begin the year, or is that done at the board level of training a teacher? Let's say we have a teacher that's never taught Flex before. What's the process for that what's your involvement in the process of getting that teacher the training that they need, and what kind of conversations do y'all have about that and getting that teacher ready to teach that intervention program?
The first couple of weeks of school, when we start getting all of the data we need together and we start placing those kids, within the first few weeks, we go ahead and figure out who's going to be teaching what program. And then if they are a Flex teacher, I meet with all of those teachers during their planning time, after school, whenever it's convenient for them, and I sit down and go through a full lesson. Monday through Friday, it's a day 5 program for each week. I go through a whole lesson and show them, you know, what to do, how to do it, give them tips on what they can do. We go through all the reports that they can use. So we do a full training of the Flex program at the beginning with me and those teachers.
Okay.
And then we have a partner that comes in. She tries to come weekly.
This is
and
board office
instructional partner.
Okay.
And she is in charge of the Flex program, I would say, and she comes in weekly most of the time, every 2 weeks, and she does spot checks, you know, is everyone okay, any questions, you know, what's going good with the program, or do we have any concerns, and then she meets with them and me, and we try to address those and see what we can do.
Okay. One more question, then I want to get your opinion on a few things. Last question that I'd like to ask. This question talks about how you assess instructional programs, activities, and materials. I know a lot of it's done at the board level. What is your role, or do you have any role, or have you in the past had any roles in deciding, let's say, some of the programs that we're going to use? Have you had input or influence or involvement on what programs were best for comprehension? What programs are best for our age students in fluency? Talk a little bit about that.
A couple of years ago, I was invited, Miss Manns, myself, we were invited to go to one of the book selection where the companies came and, you know, showed their program to us. And then after, we all discussed, you know, what program we felt like would work best for our kids based on our needs. And Flex was one of those that we had input in. And Ms. Manns and I piloted it the first year to see, you know, is it what we thought it would be for our kids. And since then, this is our 3rd year having that. So we feel like, you know, we do have some input on what we look at.
Okay. Okay. I will get your opinion on a few things. What would you say? I know there's a lot of them because I work close with Miss Woodrow, and I know she's very busy every day. What would you say if you had to say there was one particular thing, aspect of your role that's the most difficult or presents the most difficulties? What would you say that is?
I think it would be just the time that it takes to not only get the kids placed, but constantly double checking with all the teachers, making sure every kid is where they need to be. You know, we want to make sure that they are placed based on what they need to be successful. And having the time to get to every teacher, to look at every child, that's what Miss Mans and I strive to do every day.
Sure. Because you cover both grades at our school. You
We
take
do.
care of reading intervention 5th and 6th grade. So you're talking about
Mhm.
630 some odd students.
We do the intervention and we do our push-ins when we're not having an intervention class.
And then you teach some intervention classes yourself, right?
Yes, I have 4 intervention classes a day.
Right. So like I said, Ms. Woodrow is very busy. Not only is she over the program, but she's involved, as you just heard, with choosing some of the programs, teaching some of the programs, and we're very fortunate to have her here at C. Hannah. I'm just going to go to the last question because I'm interested in hearing this. And I know this is kind of re-asking the same question, but why would you say what you just said is the greatest difficulty? I know this is kind of a loaded question. You don't have to go into everything. What do you feel like are some of the main reasons that is the greatest difficulty? Is it the sheer numbers of students? Do you think it's the fact that, we've talked about this, that reading is such a complicated skill, it involves a lot of different things, not just comprehension, not just fluency. What do you think are some of the couple of the main reasons that you chose, you said that's the greatest difficulty? Yeah,
with math, you know, we don't have as difficulty of a time because we can tell, are they having trouble with computation or is it an application issue? Mm-hmm. With reading, we have to take in consideration, is it decoding? Are they still on the lower end of learning those larger words that's going to get them to comprehension? Is it they can read very fluently but they can't comprehend what they've just read? Or is it a mixture of both? And so being able to look at those kids and trying to figure out those interferences. And I think, you know, when we go into the classrooms and we see some of those kids we've wondered about, we can really tell by how they're doing in the classroom and how they're doing in core. And we talk to the core teachers a lot to see how are they achieving in core, and if they're not achieving up to their potential, you know, what can we do? Are they right in the right intervention? Mm-hmm. Is there an intervention we can provide them? So talking to the core teachers and really staying on top of that, along with the kids we already have an intervention, and then constantly looking at their data. And if we see in their data that there's a red flag, we need to pull back and see, you know, is the intervention working? Mm-hmm.
Well, great. I appreciate your time, Ms. Woodrow, and I want to throw this in. You'll never hear Ms. Woodrow say this, but we're very fortunate to have her here. I know working with Mr. McCall, he and I put a great deal of trust in her opinion, her expertise, and if we have a question about reading intervention, I'm going to go to Ms. Woodrow. Ms. Woodrow, she's going to have an answer, and it's going to be an accurate answer. I know she works very hard. Ms. Mans works very hard at math. And I truly believe that our intervention programs are one of the main reasons that our school performs so well statewide. C. Hannah is actually ranked in the top 20 schools in the state, and with a 60+% free and reduced lunch rate, that's unheard of. And I think a big to do with it is our intervention program. So I want to thank you for taking the time to work with us, Ms. Woodrow. Thank you for the time of the interview.
Thank you.